Hi, everyone. Welcome to How Do You Meditate? I am your host, Tyler Gravely, meditation teacher and wellness consultant. I am so grateful that you are here. This podcast is all for you, and it's about making meditation accessible and understanding what the journey can be like to travel inward. I believe that when we are seeking some form of meditation, we are seeking a lifestyle change that builds our strength mentally and physically, something that helps us find acceptance and unlocks the possibilities that are waiting for us. Meditation really is this beautiful opportunity to heal and transform the outcome of your future. You can expect to hear stories on how others find wellness in meditation and how they incorporate it into their everyday life. I promise that you're going to hear something in each episode that helps spark the light in you to shift and take control over your own mind. You might laugh, you might cry, and you are going to transform the space within so that you can answer the question when asked, how do you meditate? Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of How Do You Meditate? Today, we're going to get into meditation. A lot of you have asked, how do I start a meditation practice? And I just kind of keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again. And I want to get into the purpose and the promise of meditation. And by the end of this episode, I know and I promise that you'll have a totally different outlook on meditation in general, completely open to a new possibility of what meditation really is. So, with that being said, I just want to thank you for being here and being open to this conversation and for just being an incredible light into the world. Your ability to be able to listen to this information and to process it and to be in the work of it is incredibly inspiring. So thank you. All right, so we're going to start off this conversation today and we're going to get into the promise and the purpose of meditation. So the purpose of meditation is to train and develop you into a leader of your life who has the ability to enroll yourself into your own inner power and the magic and transformation that meditation makes available to you, leaving you unleashed as a force of nature, making a difference in the world, forever altered in who you know yourself to be and what you are capable of. The promise of meditation is that meditation will make available to you success in who you know yourself to be and what you offer into the world. The ability to create your own awareness all the time, knowing yourself as someone who can stand into human spirit, leaving yourself and others empowered and in action on what fulfills their souls the most. Doesn't that sound incredible? That is literally the promise and the purpose of meditation. And yet, here we are talking about it. And what inspired this conversation is myself seeing a personal coach that I know of on Instagram who had a little Instagram post that says, I hate meditation. So I got into this question of what is the problem with meditation? Why do people hate it? And where does that come from? So here's a couple of problems that I hear normally when I say, hey, I teach meditation, or do you meditate? Or what's going on over there? So here's a couple of excuses, and maybe you can find yourself in a few of these. I can't sit. I don't have time. I don't understand it. My brain never turns off. I daydream too much. I can't relax. I find it hard to focus. I can't stop thinking. I don't feel anything. How many of you have at least at one point in your life said one of these. I know on multiple instances of meditating, I'm telling myself, oh, it's so hard to meditate today. Oh, I couldn't stop daydreaming. Oh, I just can't relax. I find it so hard to focus. Gosh, my brain was just nonstop today. One of the quotes I learned on one of my meditation retreats, it says, the mind is a bad playground and you don't want to go there alone. It's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about meditation. Meditation is our own playground. We do this alone. No one can practice meditation but us, for us. And the whole reason this podcast is here is because I know how important it is to create a conversation about meditation and to be able to talk about it. As I was meeting with a client this week, I said, please, for the love of everything, reach out to me if you need anything and you have any questions at all about meditation. Because in the first few years, so much stuff is going to bubble up, and it's just imperative that you and I have these conversations about it. I'm reading this book called The Body Keeps the Score, and it's the brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma. And it's by a guy named Bessel van der Kolk. And I found this paragraph as I was reading this morning, and I think it really explains how the brain works scientifically so that we can understand why we say these things. So here's a paragraph. Since then, neuroscience research has shown that we possess two distinct forms of self-awareness. One that keeps track of the self across time, and one that registers the self in the present moment. The first, our autobiographical self, creates connections among experiences and assembles them into a coherent story. This system is rooted in language. Our narratives change with the telling as our perspective changes as we incorporate new input. The other system, moment-to-moment self-awareness, is based primarily in physical sensations. But if we feel safe and are not rushed, we can find words to communicate that experience as well. These two ways of knowing are localized in different parts of the brain that are largely disconnected from each other. Only the system devoted to self-awareness, which is based in the medial prefrontal cortex, can change the emotional brain. Only the system devoted to self-awareness, which is based in the medial prefrontal cortex, can change the emotional brain. I feel like I need to say that over and over and over again. That only the system devoted to self-awareness, which is based in the medial prefrontal cortex, can change the emotional brain. Which means the only system that practices self-awareness that lives in our brain can change our emotional brain. What happens when we meditate? Well, we're working on our self-awareness, and it's also, the best way I can describe it is you're looking at your emotions like clouds in the sky, and every single emotion just comes, you watch the cloud and it goes. And every day and every moment is so different. You can look up at the sky and in 5 minutes it changes. And it will never be that same sky ever again. So the same happens when you sit to meditate. The entire brain, what you're looking at, each and every moment is so different. You can meditate right now, and then you could meditate in 30 minutes and it will be different. You could meditate right now, and then you could take a break and meditate again within the 5 minutes. It would be so different. And it's insane. We're insane, by the way, humans, we're insane. It is insane for us to ever think that we could change it or make it better or somehow, like, what I mean by this is like change our brain, forever altering it as if like we'll never have those thoughts. That's what I'm trying to say is like you're always going to have these thoughts. And you're going to have the thoughts of, I can't sit, I hate it, I don't have time, I don't understand it, my brain never turns off, I daydream, I can't relax, I find it hard to focus, I can't stop thinking, I don't feel anything. You will always have those. And I promise you, when we look back at the promise of meditation, is that it makes available to you success in who you know yourself to be and what you offer into the world. The ability to create your own awareness all the time. Knowing yourself as someone who can stand into human spirit, leaving yourself and others empowered and in action on what fulfills their souls the most. When you meditate, I promise you that you will still have these thoughts, but it's like the story about the two wolves, and one wolf is on one shoulder and one wolf is on the other. And what wolf are you feeding? Are you feeding the I hate meditation wolf? Or you're feeding the I'm working on my emotional brain right now wolf? I'm actually linking the two together so that I can have a different outlook on my life. Isn't that crazy when we think about it in such a different way, to go like, oh my gosh, it's like almost freeing. I felt like a relief off my shoulders. When I get into this negative, I can't sit, blah, 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 all the excuses, then that's what shows up for me. And remember that our brains, the way that they work, it's easier for us to process a negative emotion. Our negative emotions are processed within 1 to 2 seconds because we're always trying to keep ourselves safe. And then when we get into, I want something different and happiness and joy, it takes literally nearly 15 seconds for the brain to respond to a happy moment. So here's the solution in order to change how we think and how we approach meditation, right? Everyone always wants to meditate because they want the benefits, but they don't actually want to meditate and get the benefits, if that makes sense. Most people, though, do. And I find it more and more people are falling into this mental health and meditation, and they really want to understand it. And here's how I'm simplifying this process and the solution for you to get to your meditation. Number one, it's always, always, always easier to do meditation after a movement. So get out of your head, go work out, walk, clean, anything that gets your body tired. And then you'll be able to find meditation, like a moment to sit and be quiet. And I even want to kind of maybe even consider changing the word meditation to giving yourself a moment of self-awareness. Like just meditation. Okay, get it. What if it was just like, I am being kind to myself and I'm giving myself a moment of self-awareness? Just an opportunity here, something I invite you to consider. If you have that negative connotation towards meditation, changing it up completely. Like, oh, it's awareness. And then secondly, simplify. We get simple to understand complicated. And you can get simple for a week to understand complicated. We make life so much harder than we need to. And our brains are constantly thinking. Think. It's always happening. Are we safe? All the time. And so when we get simple and we're just sitting there and noticing our energy, our body, how we feel for the day, how we feel in that moment, it's like we're so simple. We're doing nothing. And we think that meditation has to be this big complicated process of like not thinking, not daydreaming, the right candle in the room, the right way to sit, if you're a perfectionist like me, by any means, it's all the details. And really, you could sit on a park bench and meditate. It doesn't matter. So we need to get simple to understand complicated. That's number 2. And then number 3, acceptance. Be that mind of a child. A child doesn't get mad when they pee their pants, or they fall down, or they can't talk, or they can't read. Like they just keep going. They keep pushing. It's like this resilience that gets created right when we come out of the womb. If we can't latch onto a freaking nipple, we get like a bottle. If we can't get what we want, we like figure it out. Like any way and any how, we're figuring it out as we grow up. And the child is so easy to understand because they have such a simple innocence to them, and they don't get mad a lot of the times. They might get frustrated or angry because they can't get their way. But I've just watched kids all the time, and they're just like, oh, I can't swim. Cool. Like, I'll figure it out. And they're so brave with that. Number 4, bridge the gap. This is probably the most important step of all of these. It's changing our language and how we relate to meditation. Changing it from I can't to I can, from I hate to I love. Like, really think right now, what would be possible for you if you gave up the idea that you hate meditation or that it's hard? Anything that comes up for you. What if you gave that up? What would come back in? Maybe a sense of ease around it. Maybe a sense of freedom. I don't know. But there has to be something else that could come in that gives you this possibility of completely relating to it differently. That's true awareness. That is success. That is the purpose of meditation, right? To develop and train you into a leader of your life who has the ability to enroll yourself into your own inner power and the magic and transformation that meditation makes available to you, leaving you unleashed as a force of nature, making a difference in the world, forever altered in who you know yourself to be and what you are capable of. Yes. It's so good. So that is bridging this gap. I will relate this to a story that happened this week for me. So I have a buddy in a program that I'm in, and she is dating. And it's so cute because I've said this, and I think I might even still consider it, is the word or the phrase, I hate dating. Dating sucks. And as she was preparing for a date this week, we have a coach, and the coach told her, okay, cool. What if you didn't hate dating? Like, what if this guy is the right guy for you? And then that really kind of opened both of our eyes and our brains to like, oh, well, that's totally like, I've never really looked at it like that, because as you know, or may not know, like getting on dating apps, getting through it all is like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. And what else is overwhelming at times or feels overwhelming in your life and may perhaps be what this podcast is all about? But what if you found the right technique? What if you found the right habits? What if you found that inner peace? What if you found this ability to have so much self-awareness around you that your life completely started to change? That you were no longer struggling with whatever it is you're struggling with, that you were able to relate to people in a different way, that you had better sex, that you found better partners, that you had better friends, that you had deeper conversations, that your ability to rest when needing rest, that you weren't burnt out, that you had better food, that everything tasted better, that the world, you heard the birds chirping, that, you know, if somebody flips you off, you could care less because they don't have your power. It is not theirs to own, it's yours, and you have your own ability to empower yourself and be like, that doesn't bother me. No big deal. Go, I'm so sorry for you and that you're having the worst life ever. But guess what? You're not going to take my power. You're not going to take my happiness from me. You're not going to get into, I'm not going to let you bulge this bubble. God, it would be amazing, right? Right. So then why do we say, I hate meditation? It makes me want to cry almost that is our life, and it doesn't have to be, because everything else is possible if we choose it. So we're stepping outside of that because it's not for us. And we're acknowledging that perhaps maybe there's a piece inside of us that has been protecting us as we grew up, trauma that we experienced. We can totally own that. We are who we are as a project of our life and the experiences that we've experienced. So there are walls we've built up. There are areas in our life that don't, look as great as we would like them to look. And what if they all crumbled and who you know yourself to be became completely different? And what if it's better than anything you could ever imagine? And what if the universe is so working in your favor? When we feel safe and at ease, we are more likely to notice someone else. Ever go to a yoga class and you think everyone is looking at you? Totally wrong. I've stood on that podium and taught hundreds and thousands of people. They are all looking at themselves. I promise no one is looking at you. I swear to you on everything. So as we go back and we end this episode, the promise that meditation makes available to you is success in who you know yourself to be and what you offer into the world, the ability to create your own awareness all the time, knowing yourself as someone who can stand into human spirit, leaving yourself and others empowered and in action on what fulfills their souls the most. Awareness is always there. And if you're listening to this meditation, there's a reason for it, and it's pulling you back. Awareness is like, hi, come on, and it loves you. It's pulling you back into your deepest longing. It wants the best for you. And I want the best for you. And I want you to be able to have a successful meditation practice that leaves you unleashed in your own inner power, in your own inner strength, that gives you the ability to be at ease and in love with your life. And that anybody at any time could never affect anything that's going on with you, because you are a force of nature. You are so powerful. That's all. That is it. I'm going to leave it right there. And I would love to know your feedback and have a conversation with you about meditation and what it means to you and what you struggle with getting through anything. Where do you want to get into meditation? What do you need? I find it simple to just find one meditation and that you focus on for like months on end, so that you're not continuously looking or searching and trying to find something new for the better answer. Just stick with one simple meditation and just practice that every day until you get really, really good at it. All right. I love you, my friends. And I'm so grateful that you were here and you were listening to this. And I'll be back next week. Talk to you soon. Bye.